Okay, my 5th and 6th graders, this is the second half of Chapter 4. I think a lot of you agreed that Ethan should probably be doing his own work, but let's see what he does. Everyone was going to be amazed tomorrow when he brought this in. He couldn't wait to see Vika's face, and Heather Lee's especially. She would be really impressed. But if he had too much finished, they might get suspicious. And maybe it's just a little bit messy, please. Messy? Yeah, like this. He licked his finger and smeared the art. Enthusiastically, Inkling swiped the gorilla picture and turned it into a blob. Oh, no, maybe that's too much, Ethan said. Inkling quickly replaced his work but left it a little sloppy. Exactly, Ethan said. Here, I'll rough it in a few more panels. From his backpack, he pulled out a crumpled second page of Soren's story. With stick figures, Ethan filled 2 more panels, making sure to mark in space for each speech bubble. It's this little bit here, he told Inkling, pointing to Soren's text. Inkling flowed over the sentences, erasing them as he absorbed the ink, and then returned to the illustration board. Spellbound, Ethan watched. Sometimes Inkling started with a fine point. Other times it was more like a brushstroke. His marks could be incredibly precise or blurry, like when the gorilla was running from the evil Trog. Ethan paid particular attention to how he drew the gorilla, building him line by line. He remembered how he'd watched his father draw when he was younger, and it had always thrilled him to see things come to life. Dad could draw anything. Ethan only had to yell it out and it would appear on paper. When Inkling finished 2 panels, he stopped. Wow, said Ethan, thanks. He looked at Inkling and was amazed all over again. What kind of creature was he? How did he even exist? Said Ethan, are you hungry or anything? Hungry? Ethan felt slightly foolish, but still thought it was only polite to ask. Food or water or something to put inside you? Ink! Ethan laughed. Yeah, okay, stay here. Stay? Don't move anywhere. Okay. He ran to the back room and grabbed a stack of old newspapers from the recycling bin. When he returned to his room, his father was just leaving his studio. What are those for? He asked. School project, Ethan said. His dad nodded. I'm off to pick up Sarah. He looked at his dad's face and tried to read it. Another lousy day at work. Okay, said Ethan. See you soon. He closed the door to his room behind him and found Inkling waiting obediently in the exact same position. He put the newspaper down beside Inkling. There you go, he said. Inkling either slithered onto the pile. He opened a big triangular mouth like a Pac-Man character and skidded across the front page, sucking the ink into him. Entire paragraphs disappeared and then entire pages. Ethan kept flipping pages, and he didn't turn quick enough. Inkling just slid right underneath and slurped up the ink from the opposite side. He demolished the entire front section before he started to flag. He looked bigger, in fact. He looked a bit bloated. There was a big bulge in his middle, and he was dragging it around like a Santa Claus sack. Inkling slumped, squished out across a half-eaten page, and went so quiet Ethan could only assume he was sleeping. He looked for signs of breathing or movement, but couldn't see any. He didn't want to disturb the Inkling, who obviously needed rest, so he pushed the newspaper under his bed. And then he heard the front door open, and his father was back with picking up Sarah, and she was hollering for him like she always did the moment she got home. Sarah plunked her fox toy in front of Ethan and looked at him expectantly. And what's wrong with Foxy? Ethan said, a red plastic stethoscope dangling from his neck. They were sitting on the green sofa in the living room. So far, he'd done checkups on 4 dogs, an elephant, a skunk, and something that didn't look anything like a creature on Earth. Sarah launched into an incredibly complicated story about all the dangerous things Foxy had done. Ethan zoned out. He heard most of these stories many times. And anyway, he was finding it hard to concentrate, knowing that in his bedroom right now was some kind of impossible creature made of intelligent ink. He felt like he'd swallowed an entire bottle of soda pop and was close to bursting. At that moment, Rickman hauled himself onto the sofa and stepped gingerly onto Sarah's lap, purring hopefully. Rickman adored Sarah and was always rubbing against her, hoping for a pat or a warm place to curl up. Sarah, however, did not return Rickman's affection. Get off, Ickman, she said, pushing him away with her pudgy hands. Be gentle, Sarah, Ethan told her. He just likes you. She is too busy, Sarah said, wrinkling her nose. She's talking about Foxy. I'm talking about Foxy, Ethan corrected her. He felt sorry for Rickman and gave him a pat between his ears, but the cat just flicked his tail and walked off. Ethan turned his attention back to Sarah, waiting impatiently to find out what was wrong with Foxy so he could treat him. He was hoping he'd get to set a bone or remove a thorn or do minor surgery, but in the end it was, as usual, a scraped knee. Ethan cleaned Foxy's imaginary wound, put on an imaginary bandage, and then checked his heartbeat, something Sarah demanded every time, regardless of the injury. Strong and steady, Ethan said, standing. Okay, I think we were done, everyone. Just one more, said Sarah. I said 8, and we did 9. You can't forget Casper, she said earnestly, as if only the total monster could do such a thing. So he sat down and examined Casper, wondering, when was the last time Dad did this? Dad was in the kitchen, getting dinner ready, and checking his phone while he stirred a pot. Frisbee, Sarah said. No, Sarah, I think it's almost dinner time anyway. Oh, honey, you can do it, she said, as if Ethan had low self-esteem. Just 10 throws. Deal? She gravely extended her small hand. Ethan inhaled and shook. Okay. At least he got to be outside. Frisbee with Sarah usually involved her whipping it into the cedar shrubs along the back fence. It was more like fetch, really. Sarah threw, Ethan scrounged around in the bushes, twigs scratching his face. The Frisbee was green and said Dinosaur Provincial Park. And every time he found the Frisbee, he thought Mom was still alive then. They'd been camping near the river, and his best memory of the 4 of them was sitting outside the tent playing cards. Mom and Sarah were on the same team. He and Sarah had some kind of fizzy cranberry drink, and his parents each had a glass of wine. It was dusk, and the breeze made the leaves of the trees rustle, and the lights were twinkling from the other campsites, and all 4 of them were together and happy. Okay, Ethan said to Sarah, 3 more throws. It is Sarah's birthday yet? She asked. It is my birthday. No, 3 more sleeps. She's having a party. Yep, said Ethan. He wondered if Dad had remembered to invite everyone. Last throw. Sarah threw it right to him. Hey, that was really good. That was your best throw yet. Yes, she said, like she'd known how to do it all along, but just preferred sending him into the bushes like a rodent. Dinner, Dad called from the door. When Ethan returned to his bedroom after the meal, Inkling was drawing on a blank piece of newsprint. Ethan caught only a few details, a corner of a bed, but not a normal bed. This one looked like it was metal, and it had wheels. Before Inkling quickly erased everything. What were you drawing? Ethan asked. Don't know. Ethan nodded. Okay. He didn't feel like it was polite to pry. He looked at Inkling and wondered how a splotch of ink could seem so much like of someone instead of a something. He'd been drawing just for himself, something private. What else did he do and think about? Something suddenly occurred to Ethan. Will you stay? He asked. Not move? Well, you can move, but only here in my room. He indicated the space with his hands inside the house. But don't leave. Inkling was still. Ethan wondered if he was explaining this well enough. You stay inside and help me finish the drawings? He mimed drawing and then patted the floor again. For a little while, you won't go anywhere else. I stay, Inkling wrote. Okay, 5th and 6th graders, that is the end of Chapter 4. This thing that Inkling was drawing, I'm going to show it to you really close. This is what he was drawing and erased it really quick. What's your prediction of what that could be? What do you think Inkling was trying to draw there but didn't want Ethan to see? I'd love to hear your ideas. Miss you guys. Bye.